there's some insight from Peter in this chapter on how you and I can better use our time. How you and I can redeem the time. And I would say this to you that Peter's going to teach us. Don't spend your time. Don't waste your time. Invest your time. Invest your time in something that will give you a return. Have you ever said, I just don't have the time? You know what you're saying? I don't want to. Because you do have the time. You have all the time you need to do what God tells you to do. Or He wouldn't tell you to do it. Whatever God tells you to do, you've got the time to do it. The question is not, we don't really need time managers, we need priority managers. That's what we really need. And so, Peter is going to help us, if we'll let him, know how to better use our time. So what does he say if his mind is on the present, the past, and the future, and he's telling us what to do with the rest of our time? What can we learn from Peter? Number one, be militant. You know what the terminology is? Arm yourself. Any Bible student will tell you that's a military term. The Bible is full of military terms. You know why? Because we're soldiers. You know why? Because we're in a war. You know why it's full of military terms? Because we are serving under the master or the captain of our salvation. We are soldiers. We're to endure hardness as a good soldier. We're in a war. We're in a battle. We're to fight a good fight of faith. And the Lord Jesus Christ is the captain of our salvation. And so we find all these military terms. The Bible's loaded with them. And Peter says, arm yourselves with the right mindset. I've been saying a lot about the mind over the last few weeks, haven't I? Somebody asked me about it. Did you plan it? I said, nope. I said, I look back on what I've preached and realized God was leading because I couldn't have orchestrated it. I'd go from week to week begging God to show me what to preach. And sometimes I look back and realize God's got a theme going on here. And we've talked a lot here recently about the mind and where the battle is won or lost is in the mind. Whatever you do as a Christian, as a child of God, the battle is won or lost in your mind. And Peter says you need to arm yourselves with the right mind, the same mind, he says. You see, your actions, your behavior is determined by your mind. I hope you'll listen to me this morning. Peter says you need to be militant about sin. Look at it. Look at the text. Arm yourselves likewise with the same mind, for he that suffered in the flesh hath ceased from sin. Did you know suffering will wean your heart from this world? Did you know hard times will help you to see what really matters? Did you know you've got 2 years to live will change your priorities? Did you know when they say your mama only has 6 months left, it'll change what's important to you? That's right. Suffering has a way of getting the mind more focused. And he's saying here that this one has suffered in the flesh and he's ceased from sin. Suffering tends to help you wean yourself from the world and fix it on God. Let me tell you what suffering does. It fine-tunes what you decide is important. Suffering will fine-tune what you deem important. So again, be militant about sin. What did Paul say in Romans 6:12? Let not sin therefore reign in your mortal body. Don't do it. Get serious about it. Be militant about it. Be proactive about it. Let not sin reign therefore in your mortal body. Hate sin because of what it does to you, and hate it because of what it does to those that love you. How about hating it because of what it did to your Savior? Peter says you need to get a hold of some of this mindset. You need to get aggressively hateful towards sin. You need to hate sin. Despise it. Loathe it. Why? It's a thief. Sin is robbing you of your peace. It's robbing you of your joy. But it's mainly robbing you of your life. 3 hours as a man with 2 kids playing a video game with somebody in another city and drag yourself to work. You're robbing yourself of life. Not only the 3 hours you spend doing something that's a total waste, but how you feel for the next 3 hours afterwards. Just one illustration. I could give a dozen. I'm just talking to you about what Peter says that'll help you get this thing about time fixed, help you be a manager of your time, but really a manager of your priorities, because sin is a thief, and what it does is it steals life from you. You really want to make better use of your time, you need to get militant about sin. Number 2, not only be militant, be mature. Look at verse 2. Be mature. That he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lusts of men, but to the will of God. For the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles. When we walked, notice the will of the Gentiles, when we walked in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine, revelings, banquetings, and abominable idolatries. The rest of his time, there needs to come a time in your life where you say, no longer. Isn't that what it said? That he no longer. Listen to me, especially men, and men in your 20s and 30s, especially teenage boys, listen to me. How are you going to spend the rest of your time? Like a child or a man? There ought to be a time where you say, no longer. Why do I say this is talking about being mature? Because when you're a child, it's all about you. When you mature, it starts being about others and the will of God. Have you ever noticed children have no concept of time? They have no concept of time. Tanner and some of the kids were over at my house yesterday, I think it was, and I went out there to watch them sledding down the hill. And Tanner said, what time is it? I'm looking for Tanner. Where? Hey, just where you need to be. I told him, he said, well, if you're going to be in your shop, would you mind letting me know when it's close to 11? Because I have to be home at 11. I said, of course, be glad to. And I did. Now, why would he possibly lose track of time? Same reason they lost track of time on this hill out here yesterday. They're having the time of their... And when you're having fun, you sort of forget about everything else. Now, that's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Until you get 30. Right. Yep. And you're playing a video game and you say to your wife, would you come and get me at... Are you serious? You got to be kidding me. Children, 2 weeks ago, all of our 4 kids and 13 grandchildren were at our house, having a good time. And children get caught up in their own little world. I love watching children when they don't know you're watching. It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? And on this particular occasion, this was, I think, a couple of weeks ago. It was recently. I was watching them, and Mason's how old? 2. Mason's 2 years old. And now he's giving me that embarrassed look. And he plays, I'll tell you, this boy is a tractor. He loves tractors. And he was down on the floor playing with a farm set that we've got. It's a Fisher-Price barn that's probably 60 years old, and it's got all the little animals in it, and he's in his own little world. He's having the time. He doesn't know what time it is. He doesn't know that they're getting ready to go home. He doesn't know that Isaac and Amy have already started the vehicle and started taking stuff out. And he's just having so much fun doing what he wants to do. That's a good thing. He's just doing what he wants. He's doing what children do. Having a wonderful time, and then Mom says, okay, Mason, time to go. Uh-oh. And then she says the dreaded words. Put that up. Now, you're not only telling me I got to leave, you're taking my toys away from me. Right? This boy had no concept of time. He's in his own little world. He doesn't know that you actually have to leave this fun time and go somewhere and go to bed and get you a nap so you can survive the rest of the night. Oh, I wish you could have seen the look of disappointment on his face. He had an emotional earthquake. And if looks could talk, he'd have said, I don't want to grow up. That's what Amy used to tell me. I don't want to grow up. I don't want to have to go get a job. You pay for my truck. Huh? I don't want responsibility. Let me play with my toys. And now we got 40-year-olds with a lot of toys. With no concept of time, if you will. It's like they're saying, as a little kid, why can't I just do what I want to do? Why do I have to be responsible? Just let me be two the rest of my life. Take care of me and feed me and clothe me and bathe me and pay my bills and let me do what I want to do. And you know, that's pretty good when you're 3, but it gets really ugly when you're 16.
That's right.
It gets really ugly when you're 25 or 30 and you just want to be left alone and play with your toys. Be mature. Or you're going to waste your life. It's time to say no longer. That's got to go. I will not let this rob me of any more of my time, any more of my life. That's got to go. Be militant. Be mature. Would you read verse 2 again? That he no longer should live the rest of his time, look at it, in the flesh, to the lust of men, but to the will of God. You got 2 options in life. In the flesh, to the lust of men, or to the will of God. Now, who's influencing this guy? It's the Gentiles. Notice it says, our time, verse 3, for the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of Gentiles. I'm doing the will of others. You see, let me ask it this way. How old do you have to be to realize the right thing to do, the mature thing to do is the will of God? You got 2 options in verse 2. The will of the flesh, the will of God. Tell me how old as a Christian you got to be to know the difference. I think a 13-year-old should be able to figure this out. And then it's on you, not mom and dad. And you ought to just say, you know what? No longer. It's just not about me. It's time to be mature. And very close to that is the third point I want to make. How can you do better with your time? Be militant. Be mature. And on purpose, I want to say, be a man. Now, I know that sounds very close to what I just said, but I was about to get ahead of myself. Look at verse 3 again. For the time past before I got saved, before I knew God, the time past of our life may suffice us to wrought the will of the Gentiles. Then it says in verse 4, when you start living right, they think it's strange. Isn't that what it says? See, you used to let others influence you. Right? I pray for my grandchildren all the time. I pray for the young men in this church. But obviously I'm closer to Jace, Jackson, and Tanner. Those are the 3 teenagers. I'm closer to them than any other young people in this church. I see them almost on a daily basis. I watch them, and I hate to embarrass Jace, Jackson, Tanner, but I want them to know something. I can see when others are influencing them more than God is. And I want them to know as young men, I want them to be a man and decide I'm going to do right and I'm not going to let other people influence me. Amen. The will of the Gentiles, lost people, people that don't love God, people that don't read their Bible, people that don't pray, people that are full of the devil, people that are living in the flesh, even if they call themselves Christians, but they're living like the world. I'm not going to let them intimidate me any longer. Y'all understand this?